There are 8.7 million species of life forms on this planet, give or take the 1.3 million that we haven't discovered yet. And we have only one life to connect with them. I grew up in the concrete jungle of Hyderabad, India. The view out of my apartment balcony for 13 years was another balcony on another apartment. I grew up in a world where the only time I interacted with nature was when I was running away from lizards and rats. So it seemed almost natural that I grew up hating nature and hating being around it. Until I came to Green School. My first day at Green School, I had a spider drop onto my laptop, had an unexpected visit from a gecko in the bathroom, and had a snake slither over my foot on the way home. I think you can imagine how I reacted to that. But being in an environment surrounded by nature for every minute of every school day is a reason I am who I am today. A girl who has fallen in love with and cherishes nature. I had the opportunity to interact with and connect with nature in a way that I had never done before. And I loved it. It's really just as simple as that. I loved it, and I wanted nothing more than to do it again and again and again. There's a term in psychology for this feeling, Eutierria. Eutierria is the good and positive feeling of oneness with nature and its life forces. It was coined by an Australian psychologist named Glenn Albrecht. So what exactly does it mean? It's kind of vague, oneness with nature and its life forces. So let me describe it as this. It's going deep into nature. It's using all of your senses to see, listen, feel, smell the world around us. It's practicing yoga nidra in the yoga studio to the sound of the river and crickets. It's the smell of frangipanis and hibiscus. It's anything that makes you feel connected to nature. Sabah Asri Sea Turtle Conservatory gave me that experience while I volunteered there. I spent my weekends knee-deep in water tanks cleaning out turtle poop and in constant fear of having my fingers bitten off by the adult turtles I was trying to bathe. And let me tell you, despite how cute they are absolutely vicious and will jump at any chance to bite you. But when you're standing there, holding a turtle that's half the size of your palm, and you can feel its flippers against your skin, and you can feel how frighteningly soft its belly is, every time I came home smelling like poop was worth it. There is something so intimate about the connection you make when you're hands-on. You learn things you would never learn in a book, like how there's this one spot under a turtle's neck that's especially ticklish, or that their shells get extremely slimy if they're not cleaned often. My time with the turtles further fueled my love for nature and helped me discover my budding passion in conservation biology. And so, when Ibu Harriet asked us the quintessential question of, what do you want to spend a year's worth of your time doing? I immediately knew it had to be something with animals. Indonesia is renowned for its biodiversity. We've got the rainforests up in Sumatra, Komodo Island, the Coral Triangle in Raja Ampat. This archipelago is home to a myriad of biodiversity hotspots and species. Sadly, as I'm sure all of you are aware, we've been losing these multifarious ecosystems at a dangerously rapid rate. As humans, we have the choice to connect with nature by protecting it instead of destroying it. We have the choice to be the protectors and not the problem. And I've chosen to be a protector. This year started off with me wanting to travel all over Indonesia to volunteer with various animal conservatories. I wanted to get out and work with these magnificent creatures. I wanted to get out and travel. I wanted to get out and do something I constantly wanted to get out. And then I realized I didn't need to. I am at the Green School. I am literally bang in the middle of a jungle. I am in arguably one of the most biodiverse campuses in the entire world, and everything I needed was right in front of me. There's a saying in Hindi that goes like, "Ghar ki murgi dal barabar," which literally translates to, the house chicken is the same as the dal. And this basically means that one tends to take for granted what's in their own backyard. And that's what happened with me in green school. I was so caught up in wanting to get out and do something that I completely forgot what an amazing place I'm in, that we're all in right now. I wanted to connect with this magical campus that I'd be leaving way too soon. During my journey of wanting to connect with this campus, I began to question how healthy our environment really was. Just because we're surrounded by greenery does not necessarily mean it's healthy. And that's when I learned about indicator species. Just like the name suggests, indicator species are species that serve as a measure for the environmental health of a given locale, meaning they are only present if certain conditions are met, like how moss appears if soil is too acidic, or spotted owls indicate health in old growth forests. Basically, these species are nature's way of telling us whether something is wrong or not, and are often monitored by scientists to determine ecosystem health. And just like the indicators on our bike that flash on and off, nature has its own flashing light indicators. For as long as I can remember, catching fireflies in a jar has been on my bucket list. I've grown up with this magical, romanticized image of them. Now, don't get me wrong, they're definitely magical, but I had never once stopped to consider what their role was in our ecosystem. I had always just thought of them as a part of my bucket list and never as a part of nature. When we think of animals, we often think of them as singular entities and not as a part of a complex and interconnected ecosystem. We often forget the interconnectedness of nature. We can't understand, much less protect a species without understanding and protecting its environment. So, instead of catching fireflies in a jar, I wanted to study them in their jar. And that's when my rabbit hole journey into the world of fireflies began. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a biology geek. I love dissecting nature, literally and metaphorically. Unfortunately, I haven't dissected a firefly yet, so I did the next best thing I could. I began to scour the realm of the internet. If any of you saw my search history, it would probably look something like this. Needless to say, there were more than a few occasions when I went off on a tangent. But regardless, I learned so much. I discovered the secret behind their bioluminescence, a chemical reaction that takes place with the luciferin enzyme in their bodies, and this makes them the most effective sources of light in this world. I learned about their life cycles, reproduction processes, how they communicate by flashing their lights, like Morse code, or how female fireflies will bamboozle the males by pretending to seduce them and then eating them. I completely immersed myself in these floating light bulbs, watched YouTube videos, read infographics, went on firefly gazing dates. I even went up to a firefly garden in Guyana, which was the first time I had ever seen so many of them in one place, just hundreds of little dots floating around. It was absolutely magical. A few blocks ago, I co-taught a conservation class in high school along with Ibupuri and Pac Francis. We learned how to record data, calculate statistics, make observations and hypotheses, basically everything revolving research in the conservation biology field. This class not only gave me the opportunity to delve deeper into said field, but also made me realize that, surprisingly, I really enjoy teaching people. And so, when the opportunity arose, I spent an entire week teaching the primary school green studies class about conservation biology, but more specifically, fireflies. To be honest, I was extremely stressed about teaching them. I didn't know how or if I would be able to keep the attention of hyperactive children. I didn't even know if they wanted me there, and I was terrified. But oh, was I wrong. I expected constant chaos and disruptions, not the well-mannered, attentive, and engaged kids I had. They asked questions, participated in the class activities, took part in discussions. They were such amazing students, and I loved every minute with them. I loved being asked about whether or not fireflies could dance or if they could eat mosquitoes. I loved learning fun facts about their favorite animals. I loved their enthusiasm to just learn. It was amazing. You guys were amazing. Yeah, so thank you back, Andy. It was an amazing experience, and I am so, so glad I did it. As part of my Green Studies class, I also talked to the students about firefly gardens. A firefly garden is essentially a space that has been designed, created, and maintained specifically for the inhabitancy of fireflies. These areas often contain a source of fresh running water and broadleaf plants, both of which are factors loved by fireflies. These areas have the right conditions for fireflies to live and thrive, and it was something I was hoping to build here at Green School. Now, this is where I made my biggest mistake. I greatly underestimated the complexity of having to create something. Working with nature and to run a project takes time. I had to be mindful of the environment we were in and not damaging it. Land has meaning. There's spiritual land, already used land, and not ours land. We are part of an ecosystem of human activity. There are people involved with a range of priorities. I needed to connect with the right people at the right time, understand that other people's skill sets were necessary for the success of this project, and well, things take time. We are also an amoeba of ideation. One idea can get bigger from just one conversation before the first step has even begun. These lessons have showed me that I play a role in my ecosystem, with the people I connect with, the way we communicate and share ideas, and at the center of it, a want to protect and deepen our connection with nature. It was encouraging to know that at not one stage did anybody say my idea was bad or impossible. But my biggest takeaway from this journey has not been the fact that I can now spit out firefly fun facts faster than I can remember the alphabet, or the deep sense of appreciation and gratitude I have for all the teachers. It's a concept that's so common and cliche that maybe most of us have forgotten it. The small things matter. Fireflies are a centimeter long. They are tiny in comparison to us and the rest of this world, but they are incredibly vital in regulating our ecosystems. Something as simple as keeping an eye out for fireflies in your backyard is still an impact. Something as simple as climbing a tree and being scratched by its bark is still connecting with nature. So go do that. Go smell the flowers on your way out of the sand cap. Go listen to ocean waves cascading. Go pick strawberries. Go plant rice paddy. Go look for fireflies or beetles or butterflies. Go fall in love with this breathtaking world. Go experience Eutierria. Because there are 8.7 million species of life forms on this planet, and we have only one life to connect with them. Thank you.